Hey, hello, it's Debbie Peterson of Getting to Clarity, and I'm excited you're with us today because our topic today is how savvy women lead, what to stop and what to start doing for your leadership success. So I'm Debbie Peterson of Getting to Clarity, and I help to advance women and emerging leaders to the next level of their career by providing a roadmap and the tools to get there. And today, I have a friend and a colleague with me today, Liz Weber. Now, Liz provides strategic and succession planning, executive coaching, and comprehensive leadership development programs. She has authored over 9 leadership books and has worked with organizations in over 20 countries. Holy cow. Bamboo HR, if you're familiar, has named Liz a top 20 HR influencer to watch in 2020. So it is such a privilege to have Liz here today. And Liz, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Debbie. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Wonderful. So I'm just going to let you dive right into your topic and share what it is that you have for our viewers.
Thank you, Debbie. Well, I am really happy to be able to share some insights with you and the women that you help, because these transitions mid-career and looking for those additional ways that we can really shine are so important. And I know I've struggled with it. I'm sure you've struggled with it. And I know the women that come to you for help are dealing with these same questions. So one of the things that I did with one of the books that I wrote, it's called Don't Let Them Treat You Like a Girl, A Woman's Guide to Leadership Success. There is no male bashing in the book at all. And the title, Debbie, actually, Don't Let Them Treat You Like a Girl, came from something my father told me when I was 21 years old. I had moved from Wisconsin to DC, and I was working in DC, and I needed to buy my car, my first car, brand new, on my own. Because before that, my dad had always gone with me to buy a car. So when I went to the dealership and I looked at cars, I came home that night and I called my dad and I told him, the car that I had found and what it had and the features and what I could afford. And he simply said to me on the phone, he said, Liz, you know what you want. You know what you can afford. Now go to that dealership and negotiate the right deal for yourself, and don't let them treat you like a girl. And when he said that, I knew my dad, and it had nothing to do with sexism. What he was telling me was, you need to be an adult in this negotiation and realize that the dealership and the salesperson is not there to make a good deal on your behalf. That's your job. You need to step up your game and be an equal when it comes to business transactions. And that epiphany just opened my eyes as to how I needed to start thinking and acting differently. So when I wrote the book, I reached out to all different women and men up and down the hierarchy and asked them, what do you see professional women do that causes you to doubt their capabilities of taking that next step or of really shining? And in the book, we shared 20 ideas, but just in the time that we have today, I wanted to share up to 5 with your group. And the first one that I wanted to highlight was something that I know I experienced, and I see this with some of my clients who are mid-level, and it's, let's stop thinking that we need to be in a management position in order to lead. And when we have that understanding, we step back and we like, wait a minute, how can I be a leader if I don't have any leadership authority? Well, here's something I'd like everybody to consider. Management and manager is a position. Leadership is a mindset.
Ooh, I
So
love that.
when we realize that we can lead in whatever position we have by really simply owning that position, what I mean by that is really doing that job well and then some. What happens is we start showing how we can own that position and make more of it than what others believe have been capable. And also we start becoming a go-to person. I know early in my career, I was, again, a young woman working in DC, and I obviously wasn't in a leadership role, but I had figured out how to be nice to enough people in other departments that I could get things done. And what ended up happening is people started coming to me to get things done. So keep in mind that management is a position, leadership is a mindset. So
Well,
if we
and it creates visibility for you as well. I mean, when you start really owning your position, and I mean, and even if you back up a step, think about the roles in your life where you're in leadership. I mean, when
Mhm,
it comes to your family and your household, and you're in a leadership position there, even if you don't believe it, you are leading. So
mhm,
it's transitioning those skills and those beliefs to the mindset. Leadership is a mindset,
right.
and really owning that position, and it creates credibility for you, like you said, being the go-to person. And I know I've experienced that. Going above and beyond can lead to other roles and creating roles that didn't even exist, and it just really creates a sense of not just credibility but visibility within the organization, that more people know who you are. And
Right.
that's always a good thing.
Right. Yeah. And it's one of these things, and let's be real, there are situations where people say, well, I'm not allowed to lead. Well, you may not be allowed to lead in the way that you had tried, but don't stop. There's other ways to shine in your current position by creating some new system, by identifying a way to improve a process. There's other ways to lead from wherever we are. So we can't stop in that process.
Okay, very good point. And it's not just about the tasks, but enhancing responsibilities. And I do want to say you are very lucky to have had your dad say that to you, and to get that you pick up on that message at such a young age.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
really was a gift, and I because I knew my dad. It was nothing about sexism. Sexism. It was, Liz, you got to step up your game and hold your own in that negotiation. So you're right. I'm forever grateful for that.
that's terrific.
Yeah. So the next idea I wanted to share was, again, something that I see women struggle with. I know I've struggled with it. It's, let's stop thinking we have to be perfect before we take action. And it's this, somewhat of this paralysis by analysis type thing. No, 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 it's not good enough. No, 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 it's not perfect enough. No, 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 I don't look right. No, no,
We're
no, I
getting
can't
ready to
say.
get ready.
Getting ready to get ready,
Yeah.
because if and then what we'll do is we'll justify and say, well, if it's not perfect, well, then I'm going to get criticized. Well, yeah, but what happens is we miss opportunities because we don't step up and say, here's what I have so far. And we think it has to be perfect upon delivery. And what ends up happening is we miss opportunities. And then we get frustrated when we see others who just have what we think is a half-baked idea, and they're given an opportunity. And we're like, that doesn't even make sense yet. Well, but what happens is because what the other person shared with whomever the decision makers are was enough for them to get the gist. It was enough for them to say, yeah, pursue that further, go with that. And what happens is, again, I know I've done this way so often, is I create something that, Debbie, it's perfect. I know it's perfect. And then I take it to my client, and my client's like, yeah, but how about if you change this? And I'm like, ugh, and I feel deflated. And honestly, what I've really started to intentionally do with my team is we take things 70 to 75% there. And then we take it to the client and we say, here's where we're headed. Do you like this? We want to make sure we give them enough that we can steer them in the path that we think is most appropriate, but we don't have it fully baked, because if they don't like it, we haven't invested everything. But if they want to make changes or tweaks, we still have the opportunity to make changes and tweaks. And here's the interesting thing. What we've been finding probably over the last, I would say, 5 years, we've been very intentional about this. What we've found is that it has actually enhanced our relationships with our clients by allowing them to get a final feedback as we progress and further build out whatever the project is, or the task, or the scope of services. And we've basically elevated our position with them from the advisor role to a stronger partner role. And it's because they see us as pulling them into the solution quicker, or pulling them into the opportunity quicker. So this idea of allowing ourselves to put things out there that aren't perfect is incredibly liberating. And I remember the first time I did it with a client, I was like, holy crud buckets, that was so easy. I mean, I didn't even have it done and they loved it.
Well, and from a career point of view, the same applies. And I love that, excuse me, you had a conversation. You have a conversations with your client. So it's the 3/4 of the way. It's the brilliant idea, taking it, 3/4 of the way and having a conversation. And so the same can apply in career.
Right.
I see an opportunity. This is my idea. This is the direction I'm going. Getting someone's feedback, I'd love to run with this because I think that this is what it could accomplish. And it demonstrates that you're willing to think outside of the box. It demonstrates that you have that self-management, more creative, entrepreneurial sort of mindset, and that, you're willing to go outside of the box. So
Absolutely.
It would speak volumes.
Absolutely. And it highlights the first point. It shows how you're really owning your current role and the opportunities you have with it. And actually, Debbie, what you said segues into the next point I'd like to share, which is let's get better and start communicating more effectively and highlighting the value that we bring to an organization. Now, I work a lot with HR professionals and talent development professionals, and HR is often the most demeaned profession sitting around the strategic planning table because I tell them, so I'm not going to say anything out of a turn here, but quite often they undermine and diminish their own value. And so one of the things that I've shared with them and when I speak with women's groups is let's get better at communicating the value. And HR individuals will often say, but we don't generate revenue. We're not in sales. We can't do that. There's other ways to identify your value. And the three things that I suggest to my clients in looking at ways to identify value is number one, obviously, how do you generate revenue or save money for the company? So that's the first thing you look at. So in sales, what kind of revenue do you bring in? Or if you're in quality control, how do you save money by minimizing waste and those types of things? The other area to look at for value is what kind of relief do you provide the organization? So this is where individuals that are in support roles can really start looking at identifying what kind of relief do I provide internal clients, internal customers, into the management team, into staff, into field offices. How do I minimize the burdens on them and make their lives easier? There's ways to identify that value, whether in time savings, the number of reduced injuries or whatever it might be. And the third way to identify value, and this goes to the example that we were just talking about, Debbie, is what value are the insights or the solutions that you provide? What kind of new strategies do you reveal to the organization that may not yet be fully baked and out there, but what ideas are you bringing to the table that in and of themselves may not take off, but they might spur another idea? And those areas are hugely valuable, and start creating a brand for you within the organization of, hey, you know what? Let's go talk to Debbie down on the third floor, because whenever I brainstorm with her, I always get great ideas. That is hugely valuable to the organization and to the individual.
And you have to be willing to speak up because people don't know the ideas that you have. If you're waiting for someone to ask you, it's a flawed strategy. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and to take that idea further, it's even if you speak up once and someone doesn't hear you, and then someone else shares that idea a half hour later or 2 weeks later, I'm going to throw in a bonus tip here. Don't go, that was my idea. That's one of the things where so many of us like, well, I said that, and we get into this pity party that someone didn't hear me. And what I always say is reclaim that idea and go, you know what, Debbie, that's exactly what I was trying to say last week during our strategy session. And then you further the idea. So you reclaim that idea that you tossed out there. It's that need to continually own and voice your ideas and your value.
And other women can help you do that too. So,
Absolutely.
they can help reclaim it and then piggyback it back to you. Well, that's what I heard Debbie talking about. She had mentioned that in our meeting this morning, and can, the same way. So women can even help other women,
Absolutely.
or professionals can help other professionals do the same thing.
Or here's the other idea, Debbie, that is, if you are in a more senior position, or if you are more comfortable speaking up than somebody else, it's always also a great idea to say, you know what, Debbie, why don't you share with the group what you were telling me this morning, and give that opportunity to somebody who might not be comfortable initiating that idea and sharing that idea on their own.
Nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So the fourth tip, and it's something, again, kind of segueing into this whole idea, is let's start getting better negotiating for ourselves as hard as we do for others. So what happens here is, if we are in a situation where we have team members or others, we will go to battle for them to, get a raise or push opportunities their way. But when it comes for seeking a raise or benefit updates and increases for ourselves or new opportunities, we quite often have a hard time selling and negotiating ourselves. And the idea here is, if we do these previous 3 steps, let's get better going into the negotiation process of having a clear picture ourselves. What is the value that we bring to the organization now and can continue to bring going forward? What dollar value or flexibility and benefits does that then deserve or possibly match up with? And then what is the rationale for that request? So this whole idea of let's get better at negotiating as hard for ourselves as we do for other people.
And doing the research to be able to do that,
Yep.
you're educating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So then the final point, number 5 here, and this is where you have got such a great form for this. And it's something that I have come to truly treasure over probably the last 10 years, is start building and leveraging your professional network. And it doesn't have to just be women, but build and leverage the network, and don't confuse it with avoiding office politics. Now, why I say that is, quite often when people hear the network, they like, okay, I know I need to reach out to my friends. And then they somewhat get this blurred idea of, but is that like office politics where you got these little cliques and things like that? First off, there's power in office politics. And when learning how to use office politics well is done right, it's simply understanding that in every organization, there is a network of connections of people. And learning how to use office politics means learning how to use the network inside an organization to get things done. It does not mean catty gossip. And people blur those ideas. So building and leveraging a professional network can help individuals in a number of ways, particularly when you're at that mid-career point, are looking for identifying opportunities. What could I do next? And the professional network is identifying internally within an organization, what are the opportunities here and what are the pros and cons of them? And knowing who to go to within your network and other people's networks to get the unfettered information. And then leveraging your network externally to make individuals aware of, here's what I'm looking for, what ideas or what inroads might you have for me?
Mm-hmm.
And
So
saying,
you're not asking for a job, you're asking for their help, their guidance, their advice, which is
yes,
different feeling, and people are only too happy to help. So
right.
yeah.
And the key thing that I found in asking for those inroads is, people will say, send me a blurb, and what they mean by 2 or 3 sentences that succinctly says what you're looking for. And that'll help trigger who I might know that I can put you in contact with. Because even if you would reach out to me and I know you and I know what you do, I still would want the wording in the blurb in your wording, so that I would know how to properly position either an introduction or some kind of an inroad. And so having that little 2 or 3 blurb request of what you're looking for, the information you're seeking, really helps people allow you to build and leverage your network.
So having that clarity of direction is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's more than just, I'm looking for some opportunity to show my skills.
That's a
Okay.
waste of someone's time. It's a
That's
waste
a
of your
waste.
time, but it's a waste of the other person's
Yeah.
time too.
It's real, but here's the thing is, and I can understand that someone's like, but I don't know what I want to do. Well, then it's simply, can I have 15 minutes of your time to brainstorm what might be future opportunities for me? Okay, fine. Then I know what we're going to talk about.
I
But
actually
it's
wrote an
just,
article on this week, and that was one of the topics, is that whenever you're going to meet with someone, have a specific goal or ask in mind. One or maybe two particular things. You don't go with a laundry list. You don't go with an open ask. You go with something in mind, something specific, so that one, they're able to help you, but again, you're protecting the time on both sides.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So
Wonderful.
those are my 5 tips.
Well, that is terrific. So as review, stop thinking you need to be in management to lead. That leadership is a mindset, and you're doing it already. So,
Right.
Taking those skills and applying them to your role, stepping above and beyond, becoming visible as that go-to person, building that credibility. Number 2, stop thinking that you need to be perfect to take action. And oh my goodness, if I've fallen into this at times in my career and in my business. And I think that women, to a certain extent, can be risk averse. And I know there's studies around that, that kind of prove that point. So, just get it 3/4 of the way done, have a conversation, and then see how you can finish it the rest of the way. So 3, start highlighting and communicating your value. People don't know. They stink at mind reading. So you have to educate them on your value. And I loved how you defined value, because you said value is generating or saving dollars for the company, but value is also relief from certain burdens or processes that you can provide. And the third is solutions. What solutions do you have to enhance things?
Right.
To make them better, to take things, if you know your immediate systems and you've got some ideas about how you could make it better, shame on you if you don't share it.
Right.
I love that is part of the value as well. Number 4, start negotiating hard for your ideas and yourself as you do for others. And I know I've been there too. It's so easy for you to promote someone else and ask on behalf of someone else. But when it comes to you advocating on your own behalf, it can be a little tougher, but nobody's going to do it for you. Kind of those days of waiting for someone to notice that you're doing a good job. Again, that ship has sailed. So you've got to be able to advocate on your own behalf. And then 5, start leveraging your network. People in your profession, people outside of your profession, building and nurturing a network, so it's not just a one and done, is so critical. You really, that African proverb where if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go with others. And I'm such a big believer in that. So, and even what you said about the office politics. So, let's shift that and find the influencers and use it to our advantage when we're trying to promote an idea or an agenda or something like that. This is just, it's gold. And Liz, I can't thank you enough for coming and sharing this with our viewers. And I would love for you to share also, how can they find you?
Sure. Well, my website is W as in William, B as in Bravo, S as in Sierra. My husband's a pilot, obviously. LLC.com. WBSLLC.com is my website. And the email is info@WBSLLC.com.
Oh, wonderful. And Liz has various resources, not to mention the 9 books that she's written. So if you've got an interest, I imagine we can find you on social media as well.
Yep. LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Yep.
All right. Perfect. Well, again, thank you for being here today. And that wraps up the way forward in your career today. I'm Debbie Peterson of Getting to Clarity. And until the next time, here is wishing you the clarity you deserve in your career. Have a really great day. Bye for now.